I couldn't see her face. There's a term for that. I have no idea what it is, but there is some term for people who can't remember people's faces. I can remember people's faces, normally, but for some reason I could not, for the life of me, remember exactly what Mary's face looked like. I was hoping she could remember mine, otherwise this was going to be a real big waste of time. I got to the park entrance at 2:30, just like we said. I was halfway done with my coffee, which was a mistake for two reasons. One, the coffee was awful. My wife was on me to drink coffee black from now on, for some health reason that I couldn't remember. Sugar, maybe? I don't know. But also, it was making me jittery. And I was jittery enough in general. Meeting up with this girl I was friends with back in high school was not the kind of thing that happened to me. Ever. Let me point out, this was all above board. I told my wife about the whole thing. She encouraged me to meet up with her. Mary, that's the woman. My wife, Lisa, knows I would never cheat. And Mary was way out of my league. She found me on Facebook, and after some very brief chit-chat, she pleaded for me to meet her in the park to help her out because of something that her boyfriend was going through. If I'm being honest, my first thought was, holy crap, I got married and Mary didn't? Nobody would have took that bet back in high school. The second thought, which was my wife's main thought, what the hell did she want to talk to me about? When I say we were friends back in high school, that's being pretty generous. She dated a friend of mine for maybe a month, and she liked me the most out of all of his friends because I was non-threatening, which is high school code for guy who definitely won't hit on me or get wasted and puke on my shoes. After they broke up, we never hung out again. This was the first time I had heard from her in almost 10 years. My wife was the breadwinner at the moment. She was working as a nurse. I had been working in construction but got laid off. Me and Lisa had just gotten married less than a year ago. So while she's working 18-hour days, I'm playing video games and cold calling construction companies around town to see if they need an extra hand. None of them needed an extra hand. I felt like crap. God bless my wife for being so decent. But I had to find a job soon. It was crushing me to not have something to contribute. And I was bored out of my ass, too. At first, yeah, it can be fun staying home, but after 3 months, it wears on you. That lack of work and worth. So meeting up with hot high school Mary to help her out? Who knows? Maybe this was a paid gig. Whatever it was going to be, I was excited. And jittery. Josh! Her voice rang a bell. How weird is that? I could remember the voice, but not the face. Even after seeing her on Facebook, reconnecting, all that stuff, as soon as I got to the park, I couldn't remember her face again. And she's hot. I hate to keep saying that. I feel bad saying that, since at this very moment my wife is working at the hospital, probably on her third coffee, trying to stay awake so she can get her rent paid. I'm just trying to paint a picture. She gave me a big hug, thanked me so much for coming to meet her. She even brought me a cookie from Levain Bakery, which is basically cocaine inside a cookie. I had started a new diet 2 days ago to try and balance out the lack of movement on a day-to-day basis, but she bought me the cookie. It would have been rude not to eat it, right? We walked about a block into the park and found a bench that was sort of tucked under a tree. She asked me how I was, what I was up to. Typical stuff. I told her about Lisa, the wedding, construction work, all the standard small talk. And then it got serious. She explained why she wanted to meet with me. Do you remember that story you told me about your uncle's mirror? At first, I had no idea. it was just like her face. I really tried to remember what she was referring to before I responded to her, but I was drawing a complete blank. I told her that. Well, apparently, she didn't forget this story. I told her. So she told it right back to me. When you were 10 or 11, your uncle passed away, so the family was taking different things from his house, kind of handing them out to everyone. And you got a mirror for your birthday, a tall mirror, to put on your bedroom door. You didn't even really want it at first, but your dad said you needed a mirror to make sure you looked sharp in case you had a hot date. So they put it on your door. That sounds like something my dad would say, I told her. I still had no idea what this story was, but she kept talking and I didn't want to stop her. You said that you woke up one night, you looked over to the corner of your room, and you saw a woman dressed in all white, just standing there. You couldn't see her face because she was turned around, staring at the wall, and you started screaming. Screaming so loud that your parents ran into your room, and you told them what you saw, but they just assumed it was a nightmare. But then the next night it happened again, only this time she was looking at you. I had to stop her at this point. I told her that I didn't remember this at all. Then I asked if I was drunk when I told her this story. She said I was not. I was the one guy in the crew who didn't get drunk, which was true. But for the life of me, I couldn't remember this story, or why I would make up something like that. It's not like I was trying to get with her. And what guy tries to get with a girl by telling him he has a haunted mirror that made him piss his pants? She moved slightly closer towards me for the next part, the part that really freaked me out. You told me you had to go see a special therapist. They put you on some kind of medication, because every night for a week you would wake up and see this woman standing in your room, and each night she would be a little closer to your bed, until one night she was grabbing your throat, and you screamed so loud that you broke blood vessels in your eyes and they turned all red. Your parents were freaked out. And then I told her what I realized was going on. You're messing with me? This is like some goof. She grabbed my hand and held it down against the table. She was almost crying when she told me the next part. You said you made your parents destroy that mirror, and you went to sleep in the living room for a while. Eventually it all got better. But that stuff you told me about what you saw, that woman in white standing in the corner and then turning around, staring at you, that's exactly what my boyfriend said is happening to him. Every single detail, it's the same. I stood up. This had to be a goof. I thanked her for the delicious cookie and told her I didn't remember this story at all. I apologized a couple times as she begged me to stay and tell her what her boyfriend should do, but I had no answers. She was a quack. Her boyfriend must have been a quack too, probably spending too much money on coke or whatever, and now they're seeing weird shit. I couldn't wait to tell Lisa when I got home. I had no idea that what Lisa was going to tell me would scare me more than anything. You don't remember? Oh God, you too? What is this, like some elaborate prank? Hey, let's just rail on the unemployed guy. But Lisa wasn't laughing. She was perfectly still, holding my hands as we sat at the dinner table. She told me that I had told her the same story. Back when we first started dating, she said I told her this story after we went to go see Scream 5 in the theater. We were swapping spooky stories, and then I dropped the hammer with my mirror story. She recited it just like Lisa did, every detail. Now I was getting annoyed. When was the gotcha moment? But there wasn't one. So I asked her, if this story is true, how come I don't remember it? She said she had no idea, but she was really worried that I didn't remember. She said she would get me the number of a therapist to talk to. She had all these good connections from the hospital, and that it was, nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. I was worried as hell. I mean, what if this was true? All this stuff they had told me. At first I thought maybe Lisa and Mary were in cahoots, but they didn't know each other. They didn't even grow up in the same town. Plus, Lisa knows, like, I'm a big baby with scary stuff. I'm the one who has to make sure all the doors are closed around the house. There was one night when our air conditioner broke, so she wanted to leave the windows and bedroom door open, and we were in bed for maybe 10 seconds. I looked over to the bedroom door, which was open. All I could see was black. I hopped up and shut that sucker closed. She said she would be hot. I said, oh, better hot than possessed by the devil. She laughed. She always laughed at how scared I was. And that's what made me think maybe she was goofing on me, her and Mary. Until she showed me the picture of the mirror. Why do we have this? Your mom said to keep it in case it ever came back. In case what came back? I could tell Lisa did not want to say it. This whole conversation was brutal for her. She had no idea what to say or how to help, other than to just be honest. So she told me, in case that woman in white came back. I was holding a hand-drawn picture of a woman floating in the air. Below her were severed heads, feet, hands, tossed together on the floor. I turned the picture over and there was a date, 3/27/07. That was the day I turned 10, the day I got that mirror. This picture was in a black folder tucked away towards the bottom of the memory trunk. The memory trunk was a hand-me-down from my mom with a bunch of childhood stuff. She was slowly pawning off childhood memories. She had a thing about wanting to do it slowly over time, which would be less sad than doing it all at once when she was old and senile. Maybe you should ask your mom about it. Talk to my mother about it? Great. Another conversation with a different woman who thinks I'm crazy. Lisa told me she didn't think I was crazy. Not at all. She said I had probably just repressed the memory so deeply that I had completely forgotten it. She's heard about that happening to other people, lots of other people. It was very common. I promised Lisa I would talk to my mom. I mean, it's not like I had any good excuse not to. Hell, I mean, at this point, I had to know what was going on here. You're a very healthy, happy boy. Thanks, Ma. But can you please tell me what happened? And don't sugarcoat it, please. My mom seemed nervous. My dad was at work. He was going to work till he croaked. So it was just me and Mom, sitting in my old living room on the very couch I had apparently crashed on after seeing some mirror woman in my bedroom. She said all kids have nightmares. I said this sounds like much more than just a nightmare. I asked why I don't remember this. Why I don't remember telling people about it. So she told me the last thing I wanted to hear. It was about a year ago, a week or so before the wedding. Lisa was away for her bachelorette, so you and your brother came here for the weekend. We had a little family thing. You slept in your room, your brother slept in his, and during the middle of the night we heard you scream. We ran into your room, your brother ran into your room, and when we turned on the light, you were standing in the corner, staring at the wall, asleep. We got you to lie down in your brother's room, and you went right to sleep. The next morning, we told you what happened. You didn't remember any of it, but you were so scared that this was going to happen while you were married that you made us take you to a hypnotist. Someone who could make sure this never happened again. Make you forget it once and for all. And it worked, right? It did work. I had forgotten all about it. Until Mary, that dick. Mom wanted to know what was wrong. Why was I asking all these questions? I told her about Mary, her boyfriend, having these nightmares. You have to help her, Josh. Okay? What's the name of the hypnotist? You'll have to ask your father. He brought you there. Great. As if this day wasn't bad enough. Now I gotta schlep across town to ask my dad how he got his crazy kid cured. I can't remember. Dad, come on. I gotta track this guy down. I remember taking you there and leaving. All right, so where did you take me? Where'd we go? My dad leaned back at his desk. He was at a loss. I could see the pain in his face, not remembering. He just shook his head and said he didn't know. He didn't understand how he could forget something like that. He remembered everything about that day, except the guy. He couldn't remember his name, or his face. Dad, you're killing me here. I said it as a joke. I didn't even think Dad heard me. He just stared off, lost. Finally, he looked back up at me. Did your mother show you the folder? It was folders. Plural. 6 or 7 of them. My mom dug through the bottom of another memory trunk as me and my dad watched. Each folder had all these apparently true life stories about evil mirrors. You made these, Ma? We all did, she said. The first folder was called The Shadow Self. Mirrors are also linked to the concept of the doppelganger, or the shadow self. The reflection can represent a hidden or darker aspect of oneself. In some myths, encountering a doppelganger in a mirror can be an omen of misfortune or a sign of impending doom. The mythology surrounding mirrors tends to reflect deep-seated fears about self-perception, identity, and the boundary between the physical and the supernatural. The next folder was called The Haunted Mirror of 1800s England. In the 19th century, there were reports from England of a mirror that was believed to be haunted. According to the story, this mirror was passed down through a family, and over time, several family members experienced disturbing visions or suffered unexplained tragedies. The mirror was eventually destroyed after a series of incidents that led the family to believe it was cursed. The next folder was called The Smudged Mirror. In the early 20th century, a tale emerged about a mirror that had belonged to a woman who died under mysterious circumstances. After her death, the mirror reportedly became smudged with fingerprints that couldn't be cleaned off. People who looked into the mirror reported seeing unsettling, ghostly reflections or experiencing feelings of dread. The mirror was eventually abandoned in a dilapidated house, which then became known for its eerie atmosphere. The next folder was called the Amityville Horror Mirror. The infamous Amityville horror case involved a family who claimed to experience disturbing supernatural events in their home. One of the elements of their story included a mirror that supposedly reflected ghostly figures and disturbing images. The story, though controversial and widely debated, included descriptions of the mirror playing a role in the family's terrifying experiences. The next folder was called The Lost Mirror of the Vanishing Hitchhiker. In some versions of the urban legend, The Vanishing Hitchhiker, the tale involves a mirror as a key element. For instance, a mirror in a car or a house may show reflections that suggest a hitchhiker's presence or reveal ominous signs. In these stories, the mirror serves as a supernatural conduit, amplifying the eerie or unsettling nature of the tale. The next folder was called The Cursed Mirror of the 20th Century. In the 20th century, there were reports of a mirror that was said to be cursed, originating from a flea market or antique shop. After people purchased the mirror, they experienced a series of misfortunes, including accidents and personal tragedies. The mirror was eventually discarded, but the legend of its curse persisted, with some claiming that the mirror still harbors malevolent energy. The next folder was called Crime Scene Mirrors. There have been real-life cases where mirrors featured prominently in criminal investigations. For example, mirrors have been used to document crime scenes or as tools in psychological profiling. In some instances, mirrors were found to have been deliberately used by perpetrators in ways that reflected their disturbed mindset or intended to manipulate their victims. These real-life incidents often involve elements of folklore, superstition, and psychological tension. Whether rooted in actual events or exaggerated by legend, They highlight how mirrors can serve as powerful symbols of the uncanny and the unsettling in human experiences. I was frozen. I couldn't believe this dark part of my past had been completely buried. I asked my mom if there was a way to track down the name of the hypnotist. She said she had no idea. She wasn't there with us. They paid cash. There's no record of it. She was just so thankful it worked. We tossed out that mirror, right? Uncle Stan's mirror? So, if the mirror was gone, why did I still freak out when I slept in my room? They took out the last folder. It was labeled The House of Mirrors. Like those found in amusement parks or fun houses, the House of Mirrors is a labyrinth structure full of distorted reflections. In folklore, such a place can be seen as a metaphor for confusion and disorientation, sometimes implying that it might lead to self-identity crises or encounters with dark aspects of one's psyche. Some stories suggest that being lost in such a maze could symbolize being trapped in one's own fears or in a deceptive, illusory reality. Mirrors have often been associated with various myths and superstitions across different cultures, often carrying an element of danger or the supernatural. Some of the darker aspects of mirror mythology and the concept of a house of mirrors include reflections and the soul. In many cultures, mirrors are believed to reflect more than just a physical image. They are thought to reflect the soul or spirit. This belief implies that mirrors could potentially capture or hold a part of a person's essence. In some myths, this is considered dangerous because it means that spirits or malevolent entities could potentially trap or manipulate one's soul through reflections. There was more. I kept reading. Windows to the supernatural. Mirrors are often thought to be gateways or portals to other realms. In certain traditions, mirrors can act as a medium through which spirits or other supernatural entities can enter or communicate with the physical world. This is why some folklore suggests covering mirrors during a storm or in the presence of a dying person to prevent any otherworldly intrusion. Finally, the last part. The evil eye. In various cultures, the concept of the evil eye involves the idea that a person can inflict harm or misfortune on someone simply by looking at them with ill intent. I paced around to the end of the room, scratching my head. I was so confused. So this woman, or whatever it is, it got out of the mirror? Joshy, none of this is real. That's why you forgot about it. This type of thing, it's called sleep paralysis. It's more common than you think. But I moved, Dad. I was standing in the corner. I wasn't paralyzed during my sleep. I could tell that they were just trying to make me feel better. That they had been through this before. We'd all been through this before. We probably had this exact same conversation before. Maybe even more than once. Have you guys ever slept in my room? To, test it out? Hell no, my dad said. My mom smacked him on the arm. She told me he was just joking, and that there's nothing to worry about because I was a very happy, healthy boy. You keep telling me that, Ma. I think you're trying to convince yourself more than me. I am just kidding, Josh. I'm just telling you, this ain't no big deal. One of the crew guys, Hector, he had a cousin with sleep paralysis. Some things you went through, it's not uncommon, Joshy. I was still kind of pacing. By this point, I was itching my neck and turning it completely red. So what am I supposed to tell Mary? Who's Mary? The girl from high school who... it's the whole thing. All right. I love you both. I'm going home. My mom gave me a mammoth hug and reminded me for the 100th time that my nephew's christening was this weekend and I had to bring a gift for the baby. Lisa didn't know what to say. Could you blame her? She was looking through all these folders. She had no idea it had been this bad for me. She went into the kitchen to open a new bottle of wine, trying to decompress. I followed her in there, asking what I should do about Mary. I want to help her, help her boyfriend. She asked me what Mary's last name was. I told her I couldn't remember. Then Lisa asked if she could see her on my Facebook page. Have at it, I told her. We both went back into the living room to open up the computer and log into my Facebook account. Did you delete the conversation? No, I told her. It should be the top one. I never use Facebook anymore. This is probably the only Facebook conversation I've had in 5 years. Josh, I'm looking at your page. I don't see a Mary anywhere. I took the computer from Lisa and put it on my lap. She was right. There was no Mary. The last conversation I had was from nearly a year ago, with my cousin, Freddie. Josh, maybe you should talk to someone. You think I'm making this up, Lisa? You think I imagined Mary? I met her yesterday. I could tell Lisa was a little spooked. I never yell. And in the rare times I do, it's never at her. She seemed scared. My own wife seemed scared. 'Cause of me. It's late, she said. You've had a long day. Maybe we should go to bed. I shut the computer, nodding, and then apologized twice. Yeah, I told her. Let's go to bed. Lisa would fall asleep reading a book. I would fall asleep watching Netflix. She was reading a book called Skinned by Winston Barrow. I was watching a horror movie called Sewage. It's about a sanitation worker that discovers a group of disfigured cannibals living in the sewers. It's kind of awesome. It's way better than you'd think. Lisa told me not to watch a horror movie tonight. Couldn't resist. I was in the "we think you'd like this" line of recommendations. Just had to click. Lisa finished reading and shut off the light. I closed my laptop and snuggled next to her. I always fell asleep real easy next to Lisa. Not even just in bed. We could be on an airplane. If Lisa was next to me, I could conk out, no problem. Her body was so warm. It was like this little furnace. I mean, that might make most people stay up. For some reason, it worked with me. We just fit like that. That's why I married her. Yeah. One of the reasons. I was fast asleep within 2 minutes. I woke up shivering. My body was actually shaking. I could tell right away that Lisa was not in bed. It was still pitch black in the room, so it must be the middle of the night. I checked my phone. 2:37. I sat up. The sheets were gone. All of them. The room was freezing. All of the windows were open. I got up and could see that the bedroom door was wide open. I walked towards the bathroom just to the right of our bedroom, calling out for Lisa. Lisa? The bathroom light was on and the door was slightly open. Lisa, you okay? No answer. Lisa was never bashful about talking to me while she was peeing. Lisa, you good, hon? I slowly opened the bathroom door. She was standing there, looking into the mirror. I couldn't see her face. Her back was facing me. You all right? What's up with the sheets? She spoke, but didn't turn around. Did you promise her something? I was so groggy I could barely see. I mean, my eyes were still adjusting to the light. Huh? What'd you say? She spoke again. There was something slightly off about her voice. It was sharper. Did you promise to give Mary a soul in exchange for your own? I was now directly behind her. I put my hand under her shoulder and gently turned her around. When she did, the reflection in the mirror did not change. The reflection in the mirror still had its back to me. while the woman in front of me was not Lisa. It was Mary, dressed in white, pale, almost translucent skin, hollow eyes, disheveled hair covering her face. As her black hole of a mouth opened and widened, I could see my breath being sucked into her throat as I fell backwards onto the floor, staring up at her, paralyzed with fear. I could not move. Mary stood over me and began to float. It felt like the entire house was now vibrating. As she slowly lowered down towards me, rapidly whispering something in another language, she turned her hollow eyes towards me and reached for my neck. It was around midnight the next day that I called the cops. I hadn't heard from Lisa all day. She always responds to my calls. Apparently, she didn't show up for work either. I was calling and texting everyone I could think of to try and find her. Nobody had any clue. I explained to the cops the last time I had been with or seen her. It was the night before. We were in bed. She was reading. I was watching a movie. We fell asleep. I woke up. She was gone. I didn't think anything was weird until around 5 p.m. And that's when I called the hospital and they told me she didn't come into work. From there, I started freaking out. And now, here we are. And I've got cops in my living room filling out a missing persons report as my parents stand nearby in tears. They asked me for a picture of her to use as a reference. They waited for me to give them an answer, but it was the weirdest thing. I couldn't see her face.